Is this because you guys are both, or maybe Purdue, you've done this for a while, moved away from quote unquote the textbook format? Because
Well,
that
we
was
definitely,
the common ground, right? Was the textbook.
well, and we use a textbook
Mhm.
and use third-party software for like practice problems where the students can practice online. But we intentionally write all of our classes textbook agnostic because so we could switch the textbook out tomorrow and the students would have exactly the same experience because our content is not written to the textbook. Instead, we find a textbook that covers the content that our faculty deemed to be appropriate to the course. So when we develop a new course, the first thing that happens is the faculty members with the expertise in that area come to a consensus on what's the objectives and outcomes that the students need to walk away from this course with. And then once we have those in place, we develop a list of sub-outcomes. And from that, we then go looking for a textbook that covers that content. If we can find one, great. Usually we can. If we can't find one, then we may work with a publisher to either put together two different textbooks as a custom book, or in one case, we actually had our faculty member who was a subject matter expert wrote some of the content that the textbook publisher put into the ebook for us. And so from the student's perspective, it was seamless. It just looked like another chapter in the book because they have online books. But from the publisher perspective, there was content that belonged to the publisher and then the content that belonged to our faculty member who had actually authored it. But in both cases and all cases, we start off with our outcomes because we do not allow the publishers to drive what we teach. We teach what we believe is the best content for the students that are in that particular discipline.
Yeah, I would say honestly, we're in a similar circumstance in my program area. We are not only textbook agnostic, but we are also CAD or 3D modeling agnostic. So in other words, we don't necessarily teach to an application trade name of AutoCAD or SolidWorks or Inventor. We teach to a set of objectives that are looking at the outcomes through the looking glass of what does the student need to know in functionality, in creation, so that we can create, without respect to a specific software, we can create project work that can fit in any software. And we often find we have to do this for a variety of reasons. Two principal reasons are the marketplace does shift from time to time for who is the market leader or who we are finding our advisory committee is telling us that they're using from an application standpoint. And we want to kind of revisit, for me, my personal philosophy of teaching in a career and technical format is to realize I have two products. First product is I have to have relevant programming that the student is interested in taking because there are learning outcomes that can relate to jobs that they want. The second is my product is, or I should say the second product line I have is the educated and learned student who has sufficient skills built to meet an entry-level opportunity and an opportunity that industry is looking to fill. So if I look outside those boundaries and look at what the textbook is telling me is the best approach, or I'm looking at the software vendor and the vendor's telling me you've got to have students learn this, I may be missing great opportunities to be relevant to my advisory committee and relevant to my students because it may not be what they want. Again, LiveBinders really helps me curate that content because now we actually have content being developed where the project is identical in the actual outcome of what it is that the student is creating as a 3D model, but they're doing it with 3 different applications. So as things ebb and flow, or as former students, now technical professionals, are confronted with a software sea change in their company, they're not looking to be educated anymore. They're looking to be trained on how to use the software. Often that loops back to what was their original experience in their comfort place. Well, it was comfortable with the flashlight project that we did in this particular class at this time with this software. Oh, wait, if I can relate what I did then and with that application to what I'm learning now, I can do it, and I don't necessarily need as much training as I thought. So we're really looking at LiveBinders being that place where I really appreciate the term agnostic. is that we're looking at it as we are the ones who are the trusted source and the stewards of the information. We're industry experts, yes, but we don't govern. What we do is we try and just manage, and we try and provide the best possible.